What's up, everybody?
Hey.
So in 2023, I graduated from Wright State University and celebrated this achievement by going on a road trip of a lifetime with my best friend, Andrew. Over the course of 6 months, we traveled 19,000 miles. We visited 21 different national parks, and we went backpacking, wakeboarded at Lake Tahoe, fished for halibut in the San Francisco Bay, mined for gold, canyoneered in Utah, rappelling off of a 180-foot rushing waterfall, slept in a tent for over 75 days, and bathed in the snow-fed rivers. Life will never be so good. Responsibilities were a recommendation, and the joys were just overflowing. And throughout all of our travels, we find the destinations and the activities are just extra. And it's really about the people we meet along the way. So I'm going to tell you about the people I will never forget. While visiting Yosemite Valley, Andrew and I were sitting in a parking lot, planning our next move. We overheard a conversation a few cars down. Two men were discussing a location to get a free shower within the valley. As somebody who hadn't showered in a few days, this is a pretty interesting conversation to be involved in. And this is how we met our new friend Thomas. And Thomas was a strong and skilled rock climber, but he didn't have a partner for the day. And so he offered to take us out. He was our personal tour guide, showing us all of the classic routes. We ended the day on a route called Lana's Layback. And it was a mix of powerful moves, balance and precision on textureless Yosemite granite. And it was not without an enduring fight that I finally made it to the top and screamed in success, "Yoo!" Because I climbed over the tree line and I could see the beautiful mountains all around me. To pay Thomas back for the kind act of providing a rock climbing experience in Yosemite, me and Andrew took him to the Awani Hotel and bought him a prime rib steak dinner, which is the best meal you can buy in Yosemite. And then 3 weeks later, my brother flew into Fresno, California. We picked him up at the airport and drove directly to the mountains, headed east to Sequoia National Park. While on a hike, we made our new friend Andy. Andy had drove north from San Diego to see the magnificent trees. And we offered him, to join us for the day because he was traveling alone and he wanted some company. So we walked around all the trees and saw the cool alpine meadows, and then we drove down to Lake Hume to cool off. And me, Andrew, and my brother were all swimming in the lake when Andy came running across the sand and dove in. But where he dove was only 2 feet deep. And he face planted into the sandy bottom of the lake. As soon as he surfaced, we could tell that he was hurt, and we rushed to sit him down and get him comfortable, but it became clear that he needed medical attention. And this is bad news, because we have no cell service, we're deep in the mountains, and hours from a hospital. But fate and God were with us all. Because Andrew runs to the car to go and find help, and as he's approaching the road, a national park ranger is coming down the road, and he cuts him off and calls for his attention down to the beach. The ranger is trained as an EMT, and he does a quick field assessment of his condition. His determination is a broken neck, and he radios for an emergency evacuation. Within 30 minutes, we watch as a helicopter comes over the ridge of the mountains surrounding us and touches down in the field. Andy is loaded in, and it takes off. And he would die 3 times while in transit to the Fresno hospital. But he underwent life-saving surgery and repaired the damage to his C3, C4 vertebrae and saved his life. But that's not how that story should have ended. Everything worked out perfectly. I mean, if Andrew was 10 seconds off of schedule, that national park ranger would have drove right past us, having no idea what was happening at the beach, and Andy's only opportunity for life-saving support would have vanished. And some people love to talk about the strength of God, and I feel when I think about those moments and those events that occurred that day, that I've actually experienced that strength, because that was not the outcome that it could have been. And then a month later, we are traveling and we land in a small oceanside town in northern Washington. Andrew and I decided to treat ourselves to a nice meal, and it was fantastic. It was Alaskan black cod cooked to perfection, and a peach slump dessert, which I've never heard of, but it was delicious. To die for, so good. And we were fat and happy as we paid the steep bill and left. And Andrew's driving back to our campsite when he whips the car into U-turn, pressing me into the door, and I was like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" He goes, "This guy over here needs help." So we pulled up to the side of the road to an old school bus parked illegally, with next to it was a Volvo station wagon with a man working under the hood. We get out, we walk over, and he pokes his head out from under the hood, greets us, and explains the situation. The city was going to tow the bus, which was the only home for himself, his mother, girlfriend, and dog, if not moved within the next 24 hours. But the problem was he had no fuel, and the battery on the bus was dead. So me and Andrew drove to the closest gas station, bought 5 gallons of diesel, some dog food, and snacks for the family. And when we got back, the mission was on. We needed to add that fuel to the tank and get this battery started. So we hooked it all up, used the Volvo to jumpstart the engine, and hearing that thing roar to life in the streets of the quiet night, we were all just so ecstatic. Our new friend was so happy, he could move that bus and save his home. And as we left, we both just reminisced, looking back, like we just had this fantastic meal. We've experienced all these crazy things so far. I mean, we were about 2.5 months into this trip at this point. And we look back and compare all of our life experiences compared to the sad and difficult life of the family we had just left and helped. And we left with a stronger sense of gratitude and thankfulness for the beautiful life we'd been given. 2023 was not just a year, but a whole lifetime of experience compiled into a 12-month time frame for me. I learned a lot about myself and just life in general, and that's largely thanks to the connections I built with strangers along the way. Andy taught me about mortality, how quickly our lives can change for better or worse, and we truly are the masters of our own fate. Thomas gave me the gift of rock climbing. I developed a passion for it after climbing with him, and I've since dedicated my life to the sport, and it's allowed me to grow and change in many different directions. And after helping that homeless family, it just opened my eyes to how grateful I am for my success, my success and health in life, and I will always carry that with me. Those 3 people have changed my perspective on life, and I will never forget their stories. Thank you.